about the bright side. Yeah. Good morning, all. Let's do some talking. Let's see what's going to come off the iPad today. Da-da-da-da! New Year. New Year. New Year. It's so amazing, this thing called a new year. I mean, you could set the new year any day. Our dear friend Michael Beckwith says good morning all day long because he figures it's morning somewhere, right? So you could say Happy New Year any day. Just figure it out. When it's your birthday, that's a new year. But for some reason, this January 1st, it's like, what? It's crazy. We get all excited. We stay up all night. Some of you. Some of you dream that you're up. We're filled with all kinds of hope and optimism. We're going to do things differently. We say goodbye to the old year, hello to the new year. Stuff is happening. We're gonna move forward with great progress and forget the stuff that happened and hopefully forgive some of it. Just the been there, done that, had enough. Ready for a new page. As I was thinking about the new year, I was thinking about our philosophy, New Thought, and how at the turn of the 19th century, they were thinking about Christianity in a different way. Some people like Phineas Quimby and Mary Baker Eddy and Ernest Holmes and Thomas Troward, and they were talking about something called scientific Christianity, practical Christianity. They made a new idea come forth. They were tired of the devil and the evil and the negativity. They wanted something positive. They wanted something they could apply to their lives to make life really impactful. And look what it did. It filled up this room. They got their faces on the wall. Our law firm, Emerson, Hopkins and Holmes. They are the Love Law Firm. It's a pretty good deal. And when it happened, Dr. Holmes was very excited about it. He wrote his book in 1917, Creative Mind, and then followed up next year with Creative Mind and Success, and then finally did in 1926, The Science of Mind, which is really a great, I know some of you may have the Science of Mind textbook at home, the 1938. I call that really, it's not Holmesian, it's Lothian. It's Maud Latham was the editor of that book, and she took the 26 version and edited it, and that's the one that we teach from. But that 1926 version, that's pure Dr. Holmes there, and it really talks about this teaching in a really wonderful way. And one of the things he says in one of his lectures, the Beverly Hills lecture, he says that the world, at the time he wrote this all, he said the world is ready for a simple presentation of a metaphysical hypothesis, a theory of practice, and a technique for using it. And that's what the Science of Mind is all about. It's given us a simple scientific idea that we can prove using scripture, using ancient wisdom, using ancient thought, and then we can understand how to make that happen. He wasn't trying to create a theology. In fact, in that same talk, he says that the Science of Mind, he says theology is like, it's like 50% right. He wasn't all that thrilled with the idea of theology. What he was really thrilled with was whatever your theology was, he wanted to amp it up a little bit. He wanted to add a little extra carburation to it by this teaching that he brought to us. He understood that one of my favorite philosophers, this guy named Anam Y. Muss. He says, you'll never get eye strain from looking at the bright side of things. Isn't that sweet? You'll never get eye strain from looking at the bright side of things. And that's what the Science of Mind is so much about. It's about looking at the bright side of things. And at the beginning of the year, a lot of centers review the basics of the Science of Mind. And it makes sense because we're trying to practice this hypothesis and put this practical spirituality into effect. And so if we want to do that, we should kind of review that Love is the powerful force of the universe. Love is the self-givingness of God. Love is what we sometimes call God itself, right? And it operates through this thing called law, this immutable principles that we can apply. And when we apply it with that positive thinking, then we can get somewhere with our lives. And Dr. Holmes says that we should kind of review the basics every now and then, because if we don't understand it, it's like the deeper parts of Science of Mind. It's kind of like calculus and trigonometry without understanding how to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. You're not going to understand calculus. I mean, I know how to add, multiply, and divide, and I still don't really understand calculus. And trigonometry, I can barely even spell it. But this co-creative power that we believe in works when we have a positive, bright side look to our lives. All right? One of the other books I'll be talking about for the next couple of weeks or maybe months until I get tired of it is two of them. Power of Intention, Wayne Dyer, and the other one is Malika Chopra's Living with Intent. And Dr. Chisholm's going to order some of those this week, so if you want to buy them, they'll be in the bookstore next week. We got a few copies of it. And in Wayne Dyer's book, he's talking about, and if you were at the Poetry and Story Salon, you might remember some of this. He was talking about how these positive changes in our world come about and that it happened because people were looking at the bright side. He says, for example, the Wright brothers, they were not focused on staying on the ground, right? They were all about flying in the air, and that's what you got, flying in the air. Alexander Graham Bell, he was not focused on not communicating. If he had been, we'd never have the telephone. And who knows, we'd never have these things in our pockets that we just cannot even pull out of our hands. I'm walking along the other day, and here's this guy, and I'm even saying, heads up, heads up. He's walking right into me because he's so busy Twittering and Facebooking and Instagramming. And I thought if I had his number, I would have texted him and said, look up, you know? Thank you, Mr. Bell. And Edison, never would this happen if he had been contemplating darkness. No, he was about figuring out light, right? Henry Ford, if he was trying to figure out how to make a new saddle and talking about horses all the time, we wouldn't be riding around. Edison and Ford, we wouldn't be riding around in Peter's Tesla. Or Tesla himself, right? Yeah. And Steve Jobs, if he had been thinking about how to make a better pencil and was all about pencil and paper really works, right? We wouldn't have a talk today. I'd be with all these pieces of paper trying to figure out what I was going to say. This is because these folks understood their unique space in life. They understood this idea of the co-creative power they were part of. They understood that the universe really loves novelty. It really loves novelty. That's why each one of us are individual snowflakes. Your fingerprints are not like anybody else's fingerprints. Your blade of grass is not like anybody else's blade of grass. You are not like anybody else. God only made one of you. And you have that special thing, that bright idea within you that's ready to burst forth. And maybe, just maybe, if you're living with intention in 2019, this might be the year that it explodes into manifestation. See, that's the way humanity evolves. Dr. Holmes says it does not evolve through the workings of the sum total of thinkers, but through the operation of a few of its leading thinkers. And as I look out in this room, I see about 75 of its leading thinkers. We are in a really special kind of philosophy that allows us to demonstrate our ideas fully and completely in this thing called life. And so as we look at 2019, I'm thinking, why not make our wildest dreams come true? Let's be this. Let's not be the sum total of thinkers. What has the sum total of thinkers gotten us when you think about it? It's gotten us the tallest buildings in the cities or banks and insurance companies. It's gotten us hospitals that can't cure cancer. It's got people living under freeway bridges. It's got folks that can't get enough books. Do you know that they built schools a few years ago, and there's still some around in LA. They built all these beautiful schools because we voted to build schools, but we didn't vote to buy books. So they had these beautiful libraries with no books. And this woman named Michelle Parks came up with an idea Michelle Coleman came up with an idea called Color Me Bright, to buy books for the schools in South Central and Central LA that had beautiful libraries with no books. That's the sum total of our thinking. We can get all behind, let's see a building, but not put some books in it. Let's drive past the guys that are living under the bridge when we have more than enough resources to make sure that everybody can eat. Let's be these individual few thinkers, these leading thinkers, like the Bells, like the Edisons, like the Fords, like the Zuckerbergs, like the Hamers who are growing avocados, I mean, We can do these things. We got ideas waiting for us. What are you going to do with your great idea? And what year are you going to wait for it to happen? How about letting it happen right now, this year, right? If we stay on the bright and the positive side of things and keep that happening, we can make something impossible happen. Wayne Dyer says, you can't access and work with intention if you're contemplating the impossibility of being able to intend and manifest. If you're contemplating the impossibility, if you're living in the yeah buts and the doubts of your life, you're never going to switch this thing around and live that intention and make that manifestation come true. And that's where the science of mind comes in. That's where it's so powerful, because it teaches us how to change the impossible into the it's possible by knowing that there's a power within us for good that we can use, and that is desiring to use us at the same time. You see, sometimes that what we need to do is to match that urge, that thought, that idea, that dream with an intention. Because that dream, that idea, that thought that just kind of comes to you, that seems to keep nagging at you and tapping you on the shoulder saying, come on, do me, do me, do me, do me, do me. That thing like the 2-year-old, where, why, that's calling out for you, that intuitive idea needs to meet up with intention. Dr. Holmes says that when intention strikes our intellect and our emotion, it must interpret itself pretty much in our habitual thought patterns. Ouch. Our habitual thought patterns. This is why using intention is so powerful, because it will help to switch your thought pattern. You see, if you set up a resolution, you're looking at a problem. I want to resolve a problem. But when you set an intention, you're moving into possibility. You're moving into potentiality. You're moving into the idea of, this is something that I could do. This is not a problem I need to solve. This is something I want to work toward. That's what I'm talking about, intention. And when you're living intentionally, you're present. You just wake up every morning. You're mindful. You're conscious and you're aware, because you've got this intention in your mind. You're saying, this is what my intention is to, if something just as simple as my intention is to be present. See, there's no problem that I need to solve to be present. I just have to be aware that the lights are on, you know, that loving faces are sitting here looking back at me as I look out at them, you know, that we have a few seats in the middle that we need to put some people in. You know, that maybe it'd be nice to just stop a minute and take it all in. And I went up to see my mother last night, yesterday, which is really crazy. We had the leadership class for the Chamber of Commerce on Friday, and then some very good friends had their 40th wedding anniversary in Oakland on Friday night, and on Saturday, and I really wanted to be there, so I flew up Friday night. I went to the anniversary. I saw my mom yesterday, but I didn't want to miss you guys today, so I drove back last night. Right behind, it was so great. I was right behind the rainstorm until I got into LA, when it was raining like crazy, but all the way down it did not rain. I did it in 5 hours and 4 minutes. Shh. No. Cruise control. It was awesome. But that's what happens by just saying to myself, I want to be present. My intention is to be present. So allow me to stop and just share where I actually am, so I can settle into what I'm doing for a minute, you know? Because I felt like I was kind of on automatic. There's this wonderful quote that I saw in one of Dr. Holmes's books. I think this is also in the Beverly Hills Lectures. And he says that this is back to the idea of living intentionally and being our unique and individualized selves, right? All of you that I know are ready to do something fantastic this year, even more fantastic than you did last year. It says here, he says, the moment you step out of the ordinary ranks, the moment you step out of the procession that moves endlessly down the aisle, the procession that moves endlessly down the aisle. Step out from that. You're in the spotlight of evolution. Your own choice has decided you, and you are no longer going to think as others. But see, we have to take the step. We have to step out of the ordinary ranks, right? You're no longer going to lay your greatness at the feet of a person whom you recognize to be great. How many of us do that? Ooh, they're so cool. They're so awesome. They're so great. I think I might want to follow that person on Twitter or something like that. I want to like their stuff on Instagram. Take your own pictures and put your own pictures up on Instagram and see how many people start liking you, you know? Be that great. Step out into your greatness. The moment a person steps out of the endless stream of humanity, he no longer goes for the norm that was set by the mass mind. He is a leader. She is a thinker. They are one who introduces new things into the world. One who is specially chosen by the cosmic intelligence for a definite person. But that one has to create the vision ahead of themselves. We have to create the vision. And then once you create the vision, you have to set the intention to make it happen, you see? Off with the readers. Back to the map, it says. Was reading this blog that's very easy to remember because it's called The Blog. And in it, this woman, her name's Ela Harder, Megan Telpner. Megan Telpner. When our intentions are to bring our greatest selves into the world for positive contribution, to do our most awesome at whatever it is we are doing, ding, the universe conspires in our favor to make it happen. See, that's so sweet. All we have to do is set the intention and then get about stepping out of the main, right, out of the procession of the main thinking of life. After we set the intention, step out and just walk with that intention. Keep it in mind. Write it down on a piece of paper and carry it with you every day. And you will find that the universe is jumping to make it happen for you. So how do we get our highest and our best to happen? Set our sights. Focus not on the problems, but focus on the dreams, right? Focus on your deep calling. Can you hear your deep self calling? A friend of mine wrote a chant to that years ago. I don't know if I can remember it or not. Can you hear your deep self calling? Can you hear your deep self calling? You guys remember it? Can you hear your deep self calling? Go within, listen all the way. Yeah, right? Set your intention. Listen to the deep calling. And intentions are like thresholds. I read this poem at the story salon this week, and I want to share it with you. It's called On the Other Side of the Door. And I'm thinking about intentions as being that thing on the other side of the door. This is by a guy named Jeff Moss. It says, on the other side of the door, I can be a different me, as smart and brave, as funny or strong as a person could want to be. There's nothing too hard for me to do. There's no place I can't explore because everything can happen on the other side of the door. On the other side of the door. I don't have to go it alone. If you come too, we can sail tall ships and fly where the wind has flown. And where we go, it's almost sure we'll find what we're looking for because everything can happen on the other side of the door. Now, go back. That's okay. The universe conspires in our favor to make it happen when we step across the other side of the door. What does he say in the second half? I don't have to go it alone. If you come too, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you, the divine within you. If you come too, if you take that knowing that you're one with Spirit with you too, you will sail tall ships. You will fly where the wind has flown. You will be for sure to find what you're looking for because everything can happen when you cross the threshold, when you set your intention and walk to the other side of the door. Is that some powerful stuff? Don't mess with it, baby. I love this one too. Setting your intention from the start of your day and reminding yourself as often as you can will transform you from being the light bulb that lights up a room to being the source of electricity that gives light to the bulb. See, it's not about reflecting something, it's about being something. And that's the power of setting your intention. This is why I want us to live our intentions for 2019. You might get sick of me saying it. I don't care, as long as you're doing it. Take this thing. Sit with yourself in that quiet space that Jennifer took us to earlier today. Think about the optimistic view that Betsy was talking about. The God in me takes you to the promised land that Joy was singing about. Write that intention down when it comes to you, right? And remind yourself daily, moment by moment if you have to. Stick it in your pocket and read about it. You know, it will keep on your mind and you'll stay present to it. You know, it's just that simple. And then you will not suffer any strain as you continue to look at the bright side of things. And it starts with the intentions you set for your life. And so it is. Thank you. Starts with that connection with the light within. So let's take it now and put the depth in it. Really sit with first off, just sit and read it to yourself for a minute. Just see those words. Your connection with the light within, right? That spirit. And it lights up. You become the source, the electricity itself, right? You get moved forward. You have purpose. And it's sweet, all right? It's sweet. Here we go. My connection with the light within illumines my path and propels me forward for definite purpose, which when realized is satisfyingly sweet. Mm-hmm. Nice. Oh, thank you so much. Vanessa Holmes, thank you, who wrote the chant. Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you need any kind of movie trivia whatsoever, especially if it has to relate to 90210, he's got it. All the superhero movies, he's got it. Yes. This is our time for prayer. And I invite you to use the love and the law. To know that there is a power for good in the universe that responds positively to our impulsion, to our ideas, to our intentions. So if you haven't found it yet, if you want to just open yourself up to it, say, I'm ready to receive it, throw your name out into the room. If there's someone that you want to help shift a condition for, if it's just gratitude that you want to express, bring that out into the room as a vibrational sound, meaning the person's name, because the universe has an easy delivery system, the person's name, and then it knows where it's to go. And then we'll pray together. What do you have? Patricia. Joanna. Michael. God within, hey, it's us. We're still here. Loving, feeling, expressing as you for a sense of joy and definite purpose, knowing that as you deliver our good in our lives, it is satisfyingly sweet. We are ready to be propelled forward into our good with a definite purpose, with a light illuminating every step we take. We step out of the mass mind into our individualized expressions, knowing that we are here to bring about your kingdom of heaven right here on earth. We practice a practical spirituality. We prove a hypothesis by speaking this truth right here and right now. All the names that were spoken, the intentions that were set, the energies around our prayer have now lifted up into that unformed substance, that infinite plastique that is ready to become molded by our thoughts and then become the realities of the experiences for those we have prayed for. We recognize that it's already done in infinite mind, that in infinity everything already exists. So by our expression now, we pull it into reality, we pull it into manifestation, demonstration, we pull it into the real thing that is satisfyingly sweet. We say thank you, Mother, Father, God, for the gifts that you bring us in this new coming year, for the love, for the peace, the harmony, the justice, the right action, the fulfillment, the right employment, the perfect home, the harmony in our relationships, the forgiveness, while always remembering why it is we have forgiven. For the peace, for the sweet silence, and the loving companionship. We turn within and we turn without and know that you are always there, guiding, supporting, and loving. So with a deep sense of conviction and understanding in how this prayer works, I now release it to you, to that law that performs as we say together, and so it is. Okay.